Hello everyone, welcome to Pesta Raya's chat tonight. Today we hope everyone is staying home and staying safe at home and managed to catch the programs that have been going online since last week. We have been online live stream programs since last week on the 10th of June, and we also had some films which we are going to be speaking to the directors again tonight. So for the next hour, okay, so sorry. For the next hour, we'll be chatting with directors of Pesta Raya's anthology short films. We have Raihan Halim for Arang, Sanif Olek for Pendeka, and Faisal Ishak for Yayi. Please join us for the next hour to listen to what actually inspired them for and the ideas that came up for the films that they produced for us, especially for this Pesta Raya. So before we begin tonight's chat, we would like to take the opportunity to thank supporting sponsor of Pesta Raya 2021, the Silent Foundation. And hosting our chat for today, we have none other than Najip Ali. Hi Najip, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine. I miss you.
I hope you're staying safe at home or in the
Always.
office. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. And
I miss your kid.
thank you very much. Thank you very much for actually hosting the chat today for us. Just to let everyone know, the films that we are going to be discussing today was specially commissioned as part of Pesta Raya's 20th edition. So this Pesta Raya anthology series is dedicated to find out more about our heritage, our identity, our nusantara, and much more. So enough of me talking. I shall hand over to Najib and the directors for you to enjoy the chat. Now, thank you very much.
Thank you, honey Nadia. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Najip Ali. I will be your host, your facilitator for this discussion this evening. And to commemorate the 20th edition of Pesta Raya, 3 local filmmakers were commissioned to each produce a short film exploring the topics of identity, heritage, culture, and the Nusantara for a special short film anthology. So I will be chatting with them, of course, about their works, about their inspiration and the process of creation, and of course their life as maybe the tukang seni in Singapore. And I will take some of their questions. Before I welcome the directors, I'd like to say thank you so much for the people from Esplanade for organizing this, especially Hani Nadia, who's instrumental in making this happen. Hani, terima kasih ya. Without further ado, please welcome our fabulous, talented, or inspiring local directors, Raihan Halim, Sanif Olek, and Faisal Ishak. Apa khabar, brothers?
Alhamdulillah, we are good.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, I can hear all of you. Okay, this is the first time actually we all are together in one platform. Huh?
That's
We're
right.
never like this, right?
No.
So I speak a lot with Faisal and Sanif, but I very little conversation with you, Ryan, right?
Yes, correct. Very briefly.
Is it because very briefly because we are not friends? Is it?
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe every time you call me, I'm cycling and I cannot talk to you. Then maybe that's why.
Firstly, ladies and gentlemen, I like to first congratulate all of you, 3 of you, because you have done really quite a lot and really achieved a lot of achievement, and you have been really what I said a major inspiration to many new directors in Singapore. So congratulations and thank you to all of you for being and doing the best in the local scene. Now, before we go on with the film, I think I like to just get rid of the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the pandemic a bit, right? You all are working. So I just want to know from you, what are the biggest challenge that you face doing this project? And maybe also share with us how have the pandemic actually affected your livelihood or your work? Maybe I start with orang yang paling veteran, Faisal Ishak.
Kita yang paling veteran,
Yeah, kita paling veteran.
I think it goes without saying that we we in the media industry had our challenges, especially when we also uh, we were actually given a set of SOPs to follow, by IMDA on how to navigate this. It's very crucial times. But at the same time, the show must go on. The term "the
That's
show must
right.
go on."
Yeah.
It does have to go on. But we adhere to the regulations. But it was creatively challenging. But on the same note, because we were put into a corner on how, or what we can or what we can't do, I think the hindsight to it is that we might have become more creative,
Mm.
yeah, in
Yeah.
trying to get
Yeah.
things done. But at the same time also, I think we didn't do any kind of work during circuit breaker. I knew I was shooting a 6-parter series before the circuit
Wow.
breaker came in. Yeah.
Mm.
And then, halfway through it, I think I shot about two and a half episodes, and then the circuit breaker kicked in, and then we had to cancel the whole series.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Mm.
that was quite whoa. And then
Yeah.
suddenly, no job.
Mm. So, Sanif, how about you making this movie, making this film, Pendeka? Did you had a lot of challenges or was it a problem?
Yeah, indeed. Because when we started filming, that was I think about 3 weeks ago, and we were right in the middle of the heightened circuit breaker, right? I think what happened is that yes, like what Faisal has mentioned, we have become more creative in in our production. But I think importantly, I think looking at it, the workflow. We have become more creative in the
Mm.
workflow of the filming. For example, right? It says we can only have 15 people on location.
Yeah.
With regards to that, I think when we normally what we do is that we just have anyone and everyone related to the production to be there. But since now it says specifically 15 people, so we just have the relevant crew to be on set. And all those little runners and all that that we don't need, we don't need them on set. Yeah. And also, I think for me personally, because I think I come from a independent kind of filmmaking background, and I think this is good to see that it's like going back to the process of independent filmmaking. Because as I mentioned earlier, it's all about streamlining your process and having a skeletal crew on set. So I think for me, with that regards, there's not much changes that I need to do. It's just a matter of like, okay, going back to what I used to and work from
I
there.
understand. Yeah. Yeah. And Raihan, you always do epic movies. How's that affected you? Yeah, I can see. I mean,
Actually,
all your movies, Raksaksa and everybody, like a 30,
yeah.
50 kind of crews involved.
I think for me, not the logistical aspect of it, but actually the creative aspect in the sense like the world in the film or the TV show, right? Does COVID exist in those worlds? That's a big question that I always face, because if you put them in masks, if they are in a COVID world, then everybody will be wearing masks, right? And it's also weird when you're looking at scenes where people are not wearing masks and you know that that's not a mirror of what life is today. But then again, we think the audience want to escape, right? I think the question I always get is like, is your story set in a COVID world? And my take is that no, because I think you have to escape. I think films or any form of entertainment is a form of escapism. So it's hard because if you're looking like extras, right? You're looking like background scenes. Everybody's wearing masks. But somehow or another, your main characters are wearing weird. But yeah, I mean, these are the things that we faced, but it's just about finding new angles. But it's a new normal and we are still trying to get used to it. So yeah, so it'll be hard, but we'll get there.
Yeah, man, I'm very happy there's no one wearing masks in all your films.
Yes. But behind the scenes,
All right.
masks, everybody's wearing masks. Okay? We have to be very clear about Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Coming back to all the films that I've watched, the recurring themes in all your three films are memories and tradition, right? Let's start with Raihan first. Yours is Arang, right? Now, Raihan, I can't help it, but when I was watching it, the thing was running in my head. The memories that coming in my head was like, what is the smell of kueh bakar? Because I know the smell of Arang, but kueh bakar apa tu smell dia? Because because smell is a great memory. It's sort of an agent to trigger a lot of memories and visual, right? But smell wasn't your source of inspiration. It was your granddad, your grandfather was a source of inspiration. Please tell us a bit more about your relationship with your dad and kueh bakar.
So my late grandpa was from Malacca. So every time he goes to Malacca, he would bring back kueh bakar, and he always tell us stories about the best kueh bakar made with arang, right? And there is something about making kueh bakar with arang, the caramelization that is so bizarre that you can never get with ovens. I mean, the best kueh bakars that I eat are usually made in Malaysia simply because it's open flames and everything, right? So when I think about kueh bakar, I remember him, and I am very fortunate, and I feel that somehow or another making this film is like a source of catharsis for me. It's really about me saying, I miss you, and it's also in a way trying to say that I want to bring whatever that he taught me or what he imprinted in me to the next generation, which is like my niece lah. So it is a very personal project, which is I'm very grateful for Esplanade for supporting my vision. Actually, yeah.
So can I say that you were the one preparing the kueh bakar during the shoot?
No, but
Else?
I mean, the actor Norman was preparing it 90% of the time, but the close-ups I tried to do it. Yes, yeah,
Okay.
but we try, because I just think that it's fun to do it. I do enjoy cooking, and when you have like a chance to do something with an open flame like that you never get to do in flats these days, I try to jump in and do it as much as possible, which is very fun. Yeah.
Okay. So in one of the part of the film, you said, "Atau aku pandai dengan gadget, cepat dengan iPad, handphone dan sebagainya." Tapi when come to kueh bakar, you said that dia pasti selalu nak pakai arang because it's a tradition, right? So in order to pass down tradition, you think a good attitude is to be degil and persistent like your grandfather.
Yes. Yes, this is him. This was him. I mean, my late grandpa is as stubborn as can be, literally from beginning to the end. I would say that I take a lot of him because he raised me up, But tradition is something very, very important with him, and it's very bizarre. When I was a little boy, I was like watching him, and he'll makan nasi, and then he'll eat his ulam, and I'm like, what? It's like a goat, you're eating like this thing, but it's so bizarre. Now I'm doing it myself, So it feels like whatever that I used to laugh about, I am doing it now, And I'm sure my niece will be looking and why is Uncle Raihan eating all this thing, but yet, I feel that tradition is meant to be inherited and passed down because it's important, and that's where we never lose ourselves. I'm sure we can put in a bit of ourselves in every little thing we do, but something should remain, and it should be evergreen, and that's why it has lasted for generations.
And like your grandfather, and to do that, to make sure that it passed down, you have to be degil with it, right? You have to be a bit persistent that you have to follow this. Is that a good attitude to have?
It is a good attitude, but we need to be open to listen to the new generation as well. That is very important as well, right? I think we cannot be so hard and fast in our way that we never leave room for improvement. Maybe there are better ways to do certain things. So I think evolution is important, but never forget when. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a question maybe for Faisal and Sanif. Guys, that the name kueh bakar is quite clear that it is kueh and then they kena bakar lah kan. But have you ever wondered macam mana orang-orang lama gitu last time they named the kueh like Badak Berendam, Putri Saat, Abuk-Abuk, Nagasari. Have you ever wondered how do you think they name this kueh? Any idea, Faisal?
I think where kueh bakar is concerned, the guy who named it is as creative as the guy who invented the Japanese flag.
Correct.
Yeah, but I think Yeah, kalau badak berendam, I tahu, because of the kueh itself, when you put it in the, in the kuah or something, it looks like badak tengah berendam. Yeah, so my take on it is just whatever visual, they'll just take it visually and then just name it badak berendam. I don't know, Sanif, what do you think?
Sanif, what do you think?
I don't know. The first thing that comes to mind
Sanif
is
don't like
badak
Melayu
berendam.
food lah dia.
No lah, Sanif is classic one, I'm
Sanif
sure.
mak sari lah.
Yeah.
Have you heard any story about why they call Nagasari abok-abok?
To be honest, okay, just Faisal was mentioning badak berendam, so I've been craving for badak berendam for the longest time. And yeah, because now it's COVID, right? So it's hard to actually find good badak berendam.
Yeah.
So my take with the naming of all these traditional kuehs, right? I think it goes back to the situation and of course evolution of people wanting of the people who consume it lah. For example, badak bendam, as Fazal has mentioned, probably when they eat, there were like badak bulls, yeah, all around in the paddy fields, in the rice fields.
Yeah.
So they were badak bendam. Okay, so it looks like that, and
Yeah.
So it I think that goes around. That's how the naming convention came out with. And I have to say that the Malay people the old Malay people, they must be very creative.
Yes.
Very.
So Nagasari is a dragon wearing a sari, is it? So Raihan, has your grandfather ever talked to you about the names of the kueh? I mean, this is one topic that it really puzzled me.
Yeah.
When we talk about our Malay kuehs.
Yeah, I mean, we have conversations, we have weird conversations, right? But these are the things that he will give some thought about, I mean, he have memories, even till his last days, his memories were still very fresh, right? Talking about all these things. But yeah, I mean, we have had this conversation before, and he comes from Malacca, right? Probably with all the kampungs and where a lot of these kuehs come from. But yeah, it's a very interesting thing, somebody should be making these films for next year, maybe, Hani? Yes, for next year, Pesta Raya.
Next one is about kueh.
Badak berendam next year.
Nama-nama kueh. Yeah. Yes, I would chop buat bantal peluk Saloma, okay?
Oh, love it. Yes, absolutely love it.
Bantal peluk, is there such thing? Bantal peluk Saloma?
Bantal peluk Saloma. It's korma,
it's a
right?
Yes, dalam korma.
Yes, correct.
It's so sad, kena roll like that. Okay, so still touching on the idea of arang. I associate arang with Hari Raya. I associate arang with kampung days. I associate arang with dodol. Have you, Raihan, you get to live in kampung?
Yeah, I was not born in a kampung here in Singapore, but we do visit my late grandpa's kampung in Malacca, right? And yeah, the smell is so evocative, right? I mean, at that time, they were just doing a lot of things with arang and everything. So again, you mentioned the smells and everything. These are the things that comes back to us when we were filming it, the smell of arang, the heat. Totally forget the immense heat that comes from like arang, right? So a lot of these senses comes back when we were making the film.
Yeah. So I guess what are the other things, because you're very close to your grandfather, obviously he made an impact in your life. What are other things other than kueh bakar? What other nilai kehidupan yang he has actually passed down to you?
I think it's very bizarre because my late grandpa also was...
Today, I guess, is very relevant for you.
No, it's not. Yeah, so he was a medic in the army as well. So I was like a medic in the army as well. So a lot of things that he imparted with me are what life lessons that he probably have learned, He will, before we go traveling, he'll have a bag of like first aid kit, right? And I somehow or another, as medics, right? Maybe that's why we bring our medic kit everywhere we go. These are the little things, that he brought back. But the one thing is to have an imagination. He was a very artistic guy, and I think I want to believe that I got some of my artistic skills, if I have any, is from him, lah. Yeah.
Okay. So you still don't have kids? You have no kids, right?
No, I have no kids. I've got a beautiful little niece. Yes. Yeah. No
okay.
Kids,
If your grandfather has passed down the idea of kueh bakar, just to the idea of cherish that moment and the memories, what do you think you will have to pass down to your kids that you think is precious and will be important for his kids?
I would say I would say that literally keep something alive, keep something that people will think have forgotten to be alive, right? Like Arang, for example, right? I'm sure she has never heard of the word charcoal before in her life, right? But once you introduce something, it'll be fun because once upon a time I wasn't born immediately knowing what Arang is until I saw kueh bakar was being made or satay was being made, right? But it sticks
Yep.
with me, and I think it's our job as parents or like the new elders, be educating the new generation. I think and it's the job to pass it down. It's our job to make sure that they are so imprinted with whatever that we have so that they can pass it down.
Okay. We're moving on. This is, we just stopped speak to Raihan and then stay on because you're going to join the other conversation as well. And people out there, you are listening to Raihan and we are talking to Faisal, we are talking to Sanif Olek, the three directors who were commissioned to each produce a short film exploring the topics of identity, heritage, culture, and the Nusantara for Special Short Film Anthology. Now, from Arang, which is, of course, thank you so much. I really love the conversation. Now, we move on to Faisal. Now, Faisal, you're also, the story of Yayi is also inspired by your grandfather. Now, Yayi is actually a title, isn't it? It's not the name of your father.
No. Yai is actually, a Javanese salutation for a grandfather, like Pak Yai, Mak Nyai, So it's more of that Japanese pula, Javanese. Salah. Javanese influence.
I see.
There we are.
So if the father, the grandfather is Yayi, then the grandmother is
Mak Nyai. Mak Nyai.
Mak Nyai.
Mak
Yes.
Nyai.
Mak Nyai. Correct.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. See, I don't have grandfather. Okay, so I cannot help but when I watched your movie because I knew your family and I see that you feature your daughter and not people can actually say, hey, I work with my son and my daughter. How is it like working with your daughter? Are you a very strict father that she follows everything what you said and she's very tough?
No, I would like to believe that I'm a very laid back kind of father, right? But at the same time, I think Leia has there's a bit of an influence from his big brother Aiden. Aiden has always been involved in acting, in performance, and so they were. I think it's just like a natural influence, and also I actually kind of like expose them to what I do since they are young. I usually take them to locations and show them what I do. So yeah, I guess that is a mirror of what was what I went through when I was about their age, because I used to follow my mom, my late grandfather, and my brother, for shows during RTS times, Radio Television Singapore, Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just like a natural progression or maybe a natural influence. And to work with Leia, I was kind of surprised because we kind of like rehearse at home, and I was just telling her, okay, this is what I need you to do and stuff. But she adapts very well, and actually she takes to direction quite well, and I'm kind of like, at the same time, I am actually quite happy with her performance, and yeah, I think she's a natural.
So I just want to tell people out there who are watching this, Faisal loves Star Wars. And all his children, ladies and gentlemen, is named after the characters in Star Wars. Please tell them. Do you have Leia?
Yeah, I have Leia. My son is thankfully named Aiden. I would have named him Darth Aiden. Yeah, but no, that didn't get to go ahead from my wife. So we just stuck to Aiden.
Thank
so
God.
Then I have Leia, and I have a small little one named Ray.
There you are. You have the whole Star Wars characters in your family. Now, if you have any, so what is your advice? I mean, people, I know that a lot of people want to work with their kids. What is your advice to them if they really want to work with their kid? What is the process of making sure that they do what you wanted to do?
Oh, I think kids, right? I think you've got to like kind of like take a step back from being too technical about it. You've got to you got to let kids explore, you know, and I think it will be better for any director's sanity if you let that happen. Because if you want them to do exactly what you want them to do, wow, then you go to the Hollywood rule: never work with kids or nor animals. You know, but if you let them have a free reign, just talk to them, and I think the kids will actually surprise you. Yeah.
So and that's your daughter, right? That's Leia
Yes.
in the photo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How old is she?
She is
She's about
5, turning 6.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, and can take direction. Wonderful. So
Yeah.
in the particular movie, what I like is there was a part where she found the bow, and
Mhm.
then she did all kinds of things and ways to entertain herself for her own enjoyment. She
Right.
uses the bow as a microphone, and she uses the bow as a pole, as a sword, and then she was playful and she was inventive. There was imagination take place and the process of I want to play with this thing. But nowadays,
Mhm.
our kids are just stuck with one idea, which is the computer and the smartphone. There's no
Yeah.
time for imagination. I think that
Right.
this negates certain kind of imagination. Don't you agree?
Yes, I do. I
And
think
maybe this is a question for Raihan and Sanif as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
yeah. I think one of the objectives of the subtle messages that I want to put is that, yeah, I mean, I grew up in a kampong, and we found 1001 ways, to find things to play with. Even a branch can be a pistol, main tembak-tembak and all that. So yeah, I hope that the kind of thing will just pass on to the kids. That there is more than the screen time that they put themselves into. Yeah, so when Leia playing this character, finding the bow, yeah, she actually did everything but play the violin for
Yeah,
this one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was using it as a pole to jolok manga, and then I remember those things. It's very fresh in my mind. I mean, I'm the oldest among here, and I have the real kampong, and I
Yeah.
do know when every time we have a stick, we'll do all kinds of things. Sanib, you're laughing. Do you play like that in kampong? I mean, do you remember your life?
Yeah,
Hello.
on mute.
I
Yeah. Mm.
I did grow up in a kampong per se, but I grew up in
Mm.
a workers' barracks,
Ah.
quarters rather in Jalan Majapahit.
Mm.
So yeah, I was surrounded. The place where I stayed was surrounded by lots of forests, and one of the
Mm.
things that I
Mm.
remember was to go to the longkang at the back, because there's when after it rains, right, there'll be guppies and those are small fishes lah. So those are the memories that I can remember. And of course,
Mm.
my late father back then used to have this ladang ubi, tapioca farm,
Mm.
Oh, nice.
Wah,
plantation. So when
kayanya
the
ada
yeah,
ladang ubi.
so well, he does that part time lah. If he needs after he got from work. So what happened was that when the ubi kayu right reaches a height of like maybe 1 meter, you have this nice branches where you can just play hide and
Mm.
seek underneath
Right.
the leaves lah. So that's the memory that I had when I was young. With regards to living staying in kampong lah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. And how about you, Ryan?
For
No
me, I
kampung for
grew
you?
up. I was grew up in a flat, but I do remember
Mm.
going outdoors and catching tadpoles and everything. But I was born in the 80s, so it was an era of like action figures and all these things. So I
Right.
stayed indoor. So I played my He-Man and my Transformers, you know. But again, it's also a very bizarre thing because these things don't make sense to the kids nowadays. I went
Yeah.
to Toys
Mm.
R Us the other day. No kids are interested in buying toys anymore because they have everything in their phone or in the Nintendo Switches and everything, right? So I'm beginning to wonder what the imagination is like because whatever they watch, everything is given to them.
Yeah.
There was the source of creation, which is scary. But at the same
Yes.
time, this is the zeitgeist now. This is what we are living in now. So it's how we're going to. Can we change? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. That's exactly why I so like that part, Faisal, about that particular movie when you use that one stick to become many, many things and for
Yeah.
one girl to play with it. And the other thing that items that came out from your movie is the Sony Walkman, and then there was the violin. These two items were very clear. Can you tell us a bit about this connection between the Sony Walkman and the violin, and in between?
Right. I actually wanted to use that, of course, as a transition. Of when you find something new, you might forget, something that has been a source of fun. So the next one that actually Leah found was the Walkman, and then she discovered music. She discovered music through her Walkman. But the first music that she discovered was actually the keroncong music, right? But from there, if you watch the film, it's a transition where she start to listen to other kind of music, other genres, including dangdut. If you see properly, there's one disco dangdut, tape down there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, kind like so.
They're all
that
for
is-
you, lah.
so I guess it does two things, a transition of age for the actor, but also a transition of music that influences the growing up process. Yeah, but the Walkman itself, I think it's an iconic, a prop or an item in our life. I mean, I remember my very first, I really saved up for my very first Walkman, and then it was the gadget of the day, of the 80s, yeah. So I had wanted it to be kind of like a timestamp that this happened kind of like a long time ago.
Yes.
Also, yeah, and then thereafter I introduced the violin. Of course, the violin has always been around in my family, and then how it actually emotively will steer someone into trying to find their way, or maybe trying to find themselves in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I really like about this is because you're telling the story. You're paying a tribute to your grandfather, Samsuri Said. Am I right? Yeah, and he's a keroncong maestro, and the group that work it's called Suara Hiburan, right? It was
Correct.
like maybe 40. Is it 40 years ago that I said?
Yeah,
Yeah.
around 40 years ago. Yeah, yeah, and the hiburan is spelled with an O, hiburan, not hiburan. So it's an old spelling. Orkes Suara Hiburan. Yeah.
And then the lead singer. So this girl in your movie is it your mother, Jamila Samsuri?
Well, I like to fashion it after my mom, because my mom actually, the first time she sang and she won a competition in Singapore when she was in her teens. She was 13 years old when she won the keroncong competition. But at that time, I would imagine that she was kind of like a rebel of sorts, until she found her love for singing, and of course for keroncong itself. Yeah.
There you. So there's a picture of is that your grandfather?
Yeah, that's my grandfather. Yeah, when he's very young, and of course, that was the last interview that he had with one of the papers back in 2004, 3 years before he passed. Yeah.
Yeah. Any more pictures? Can I see? Is that can we have more photos? Yeah, see more photos there. There you are.
Okay,
Wow.
this one is exactly at his house, at his kampong house in Pepys Road. That's why in the film you see the signage of Pepys Road, because that is where I was born also. I think that is just below Bukit Chandu.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So very historical. I had actually wanted to do one scene in Bukit Chandu War Memorial itself, but apparently it's closed for renovation.
I
So,
see.
yeah.
I see. Well, any more photos? Yeah, there you are. Is that you?
Yeah. No, that's
that's you.
my elder. That's my elder brother.
Oh. Okay. What's the
Who,
name? Mamat.
Mamat, yes. Last time he
Yes,
had a
okay.
show of his own, Teropong Si Mamat. Yeah.
Yes.
Apparently my grandfather is blocked. Yeah.
Oh my God! Look
So-
at them.
Oh, is that Aziz Sata?
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
That's
That's Aziz Sata. Yeah. So they were involved in Malay film productions before. Yeah, and then if you actually rewatch the film Madu Tiga, the keroncong people that kept playing while Jamil kerja.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is Orkes Suara Hiburan.
Wow.
Any more
Yeah.
photos? There you are. This is the
Good looking
latest, is
guys.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the far end,
Is
of
that your
course, is my
mom?
grandfather. Yeah, the center,
Okay.
the lady is my mom, and of course, the
Okay.
guy on the far right is actually my father.
I see.
Yeah, you see
Uh,
the resemblance of me and I
Okay.
mean, without the misai lah.
Yeah, you need it, man. You need a tandem
So,
there.
how
I,
was
I
Wow.
this?
noticed that all these guys, they have lots of swagger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of
man.
a lot of swag.
Musicians, man,
I
musicians,
guess
the cool gang.
your yayi has impacted you a lot. What have one lesson that you learned from him artistically, maybe, or creatively
um,
until today?
yeah, I think he actually lived I mean his way as a musician with a lot of tenacity, you know, because
Mm.
when he was growing, when he was aging, he became quite sad because he actually realized the disappearance of keroncong
Ooh.
scene, yeah,
Mm.
in Singapore. But he pushed on. He pushed on,
Mm.
and he tried to remain relevant, as far as he could. He
Mm.
even, yeah, after even some of my uncles, grand uncles who passed before him, he just kept on going with his bicycle. He used to stay at Jurong West after moving from Pasir Ris. He was at Pepys Road. He moved to Jurong West. He actually cycled all the way to Tampines CC, and I think he was instrumental in actually setting up another keroncong group called the Temasek.
Wow.
When
Mm.
all the way at Tampines. So he was very determined to actually keep the whole culture alive. Yeah.
I see. I
So
see.
so I think I've got to keep that going lah somehow.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
also got a chance to be with one of the doyen or the diva of Keroncong. Kartina Dari was my godmother. So I,
Yes.
I do hear a lot of stories how there was actually a lot of Keroncong groups at that particular time, right?
Yes.
Like I live in Kampong Glam. I mean, I live in where Arab Street is, and I think there were spaces last time. They said there were groups of lot of Keroncong groups were performing, and it was like
Yes.
a healthy dose of Keroncong in Singapore.
Yeah. Yes, yes. And then what the beauty of it is just that you have this particular group just sitting under a tree and then just jamming, because
Yeah.
Keroncong is just
Yeah.
about jamming, and you
Okay.
have that in Pasir Panjang, even Ramli Sarip those time, M Nasir,
Mm.
M Nasir have a few hits with very Keroncong based anyway.
Yeah, I know. Dingin malam.
Yes, that's
Oh,
the one.
Kan
Yeah.
juga nyanyi. Okay. So there you have it. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, we are watching Pesta Raya, where we are commemorating the 20th edition of Pesta Raya. 3 local filmmakers were commissioned to each produce a short film exploring the topics of identity, heritage, culture, and the Nusantara for a special short film anthology. That's what we were talking with. We had spoken to Raihan as well as Faisal. And now we move on to Sanif. You all can masuk campur. You want to ask a question.
Boleh.
sure.
So, for Shanif, there isn't any grandfather or grandmother, Sanif. No, the first thing that I felt, Sanif, after watching your film, I wanted to quickly learn Silat, man.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to sing Sama-Sama Maju ke Hadapan. It was so patriotic at the same time. And I want to watch Putri Gunung Ledang one more time. It was so rousing. Is that how you want it to be?
Yeah, exactly. Because when I was given the brief for this project, right, it was basically about identity and Nusantara, and of course the culture. What I wanted to do for this project is that I wanted to do something different, which I've done from what I've done previously. I've done stories of my childhood, stories of my dad, stories of my Balinese heritage previously also. So I thought that for this project, I wanted to do something different, something. So I decided to the first thing that comes to mind when it comes to Nusantara, especially coming from Singapore, I think is the puisi. And puisi is something that I wanted to do, to tackle on visually, right, for the longest time. So when this opportunity comes, so I thought, hey, why not we do a visual poetry, right? So and then the other thing is that there's poetry, and then there's also the visual element. What do I want to do? So and then looking around, I thought, hey, why not I do Silat, right? And because Silat is one of the things that I think is very identifiable in when we talk about the Nusantara. I mean, it's not only in Singapore; it's in Indonesia and Malaysia, and basically everyone who comes from Nusantara, they know that Silat is the quintessential Nusantara culture heritage, right? So I thought, okay, so we have Silat and poetry, right? And then and then when it comes to Silat, also the other thing that I want to tackle on Silat is that because I think most of the time when we talk about Silat, is about the we see scenes of duel, of fighting, right? But in this case, because the main subject is about poetry, I wanted to do to cover the ballet of Silat, right?
Okay.
And so with that, it's quite a, for me, it's also quite a learning curve lah, because I think I need to find out more about Silat to know the ballet of Silat, and also when it comes to puisi, right, I need to know. It's like revisiting my my bahasa Melayu in Sec 4 lah. So
but which one is the jumping spot for you? Was it the sajak that came first, or is it the Silat that plays an important role in inspiring this work?
Oh, okay.
Was it the
actually,
words? Was it the sajak?
It's the Silat first. It's the Silat first.
Oh, okay.
All right. Because okay, why Silat? Because when it comes to films, right, I've always been influenced by films, martial arts films from China. For example, by directors Zheng Kaiger and Zhang Yimou. So their interpretation of all of their martial arts, it's kind of poetic, even though there's like fighting, right? Okay, for example, when you watch the film Hero by Zhang Yimou, right, there's this fighting scene between Donnie Yen and what's his name? And the other guy. Jet Li, yes, correct.
Jet Li, yeah.
Jet Li, yes, correct. So even though there's fighting, but there's also this beautiful aspect of the Shaolin, of the Kung Fu that has been captured, you see. With regards to the angles, with regards to the rhythm and all that. So when it comes to Pendeka, the first thing that comes to mind was, of course, the Silat, right? How do I capture the poetry in Silat, right? And so when it comes to the poetry, this is very interesting, because the poetry is actually specially written for the film. It's not something that's already been there lah. So what I did was that I approached Muhammad Salihin Sulaiman Jin. He's a national poet, right? So I told him about this idea, and of course, I mean, he's always very accommodating. So the process is that what I do is like it's quite similar to how we always do, or we always approach filmmaking. We do the beats first, right, with the story,
I see.
And then with those beats, I pass those beats to him lah, so that he has an idea. He has an idea how I want to approach the film, and also what sort of words that he can use for each scenes. Yeah. So when it comes
before I get to the words,
yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Can I say something? Yeah.
Oh,
I just
before
I get to. Yes, carry on.
Oh, I wanted to touch about the words, because what happened was that I mean, I've to give it to Salihin also, because he just came up with the words within like 3 weeks, fresh ones. But of course, there's a back and forth of ideas. And then, but I have to say that 90% of the words are his lah. And yeah, so that's very creative of him.
Yeah, before I get to the puisi, I have a question here by Tisha Bahrain. It says, why Hang Tuah and not any other characters from our Malay folk tales?
Okay, interesting.
Apa lagi
Why Hang Tuah?
Yeah, precisely.
Ya, pasal Pak Pandey tak tahu silat.
That's right.
Not my question. Tisha asked.
Okay, the question why Hang Tuah and why Hang Jebat, right? Because okay, everyone from Nusantara, I think, who knows the Malay annals, sejarah Melayu, knows about Hang Tuah and Hang Jebat, right? And these two figures are basically iconic Malay warriors, right? And in Pendeka, what I wanted to do was to deconstruct the whole idea of Pendeka and warriors, and the fact that I think many Malays lah, when we talk about Hang Tuah and Hang Jebat, right, we somehow elevate them to some godly figure. For example, right, when you go to Malacca, I mean, there's even this tomb, which is like, I think, more than which is super long, and people, you know, say that, probably Hang Tuah and Hang Jebat and all the other peers, right, the Hangs, they must have been tall and gigantic and all that. But then again, so in Pendeka, what I wanted to do was to just humanize them, you know, and also look at them. How would they be, and how would they act, and how would they talk if, let's say, they are if we bring them back to the contemporary times lah, do they have that kind of very, you know, bangsawan kind of language when they talk among them, or do they talk like, you know, very lepak, like how we speak when we have kopi at the sidewalk, right? Yeah, so that's the thing, and also I think I also want to look at this idea of Pendeka, of a warrior, because I think the idea of warrior, I also want to look at, you know, different people has got different interpretation of what a warrior is. So it may not be someone with a grace or a soldier. It could be someone. It could be simply just someone that you look up to, your father, sister, or your mentor, right? So it's that. So I think, the idea of what do we fight for as a warrior, you know, and what do we hold strongly for, lah. So these are all the elements which I wanted to explore in this film.
Yeah, it is very patriotic, but there's a verse in there which I really like. I probably I want you to comment on this. It says, gejala ideologi sesuka hati hanya ikut logika sendiri. Bingung dan tak pasti membuat aku bisu sepi. Whoa! So I think there's a commentary here. Yeah, right. Rather than, because the rest is just about Hang Tuah, but this is what you especially comment on these generations of. Is that your intention?
Yes. To be honest, when I spoke to Salihin, I mean, we had lots of discussions of what we really want to talk about, right? And this is one of the things that we talk about, and of course the beautiful words were Salihin's lah. Yeah, so I mean, he put it so eloquently. Yeah, so back to the question, I think yes, because as we evolve as a Malay, right, and also as we adapt to the contemporary lah, I think these are the things to which as not only as a Malay person, but as an individual, we need to process all these elements of influence, and then see how much we can use them to move forward.
Okay, so in terms of production, the creative process and the production, I think there's one part on the Pendeka is alone with Marina Garden, with gardens by the bay in the background. Is that an early morning or is it a sundown? Because you know, as a producer, I'm sure all you director, there are moments like, this is the moment I'm gonna shoot. I will make sure that the sunrise and sunset is perfect. tell us a bit about the process of that, making a perfect, picturesque shot.
Okay, two things. The locations were not at Marina Bay. It was it was at Kranji Reservoir. They had beautiful sunsets there, and the second one was actually at Pasir Ris, just before Coney Island. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
so we found the good spot there, and also about the sunsets. We filmed the sunsets over 2 days, two sunsets. So and the thing about sunset is that it's very crucial that capture, or rather, there's a very short time window that we catch.
Yeah.
For example, in this case, about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But if you lose that, that's it. You have to come back. But of course, I don't want to come back again. And
Don't we all?
Yeah.
but I have to give it to the everyone on set, lah, the crew, the cast, and basically everyone. And I think the fact that we go on a very skeletal kind of production crew,
Move
it's very
faster.
easy to just move fast. And I think everyone knows what they are in for, what they are supposed to do, because the first thing that we mentioned, or rather I mentioned to them, was that, hey, we are shooting sunset, and everyone I think has got lots of experience shooting sunsets, which is like, that 15 minutes, that 10 to 15 minutes time window, very crucial. Once we missed it, and that's it, So that was basically the process. And again, I have to give thanks to the production crew, the crew and the cast and all that. They are very like what my army sergeant used to say, very on the ball. So they're like, snap, and that's
I
it.
really admire all of you doing all this. When the director's waiting for 15 seconds, and I'm always inside the studio and having fun in the studio.
Yeah. Najib, I think everyone would rather do a sunset rather than a sunrise, because a sunrise we need to call at 4:30 a.m. in the morning to wait for the sun to rise.
Okay.
So what we do is we do sunset, and if we need a sunrise, we just reverse the shot.
Yes, absolutely.
I see.
best
I've
thing
learned
about-
something. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the best thing about shooting sunset, right?
Yes,
The best thing about shooting sunset is that, that 15-20 minutes, everyone will be like so focused, so like on the ball. But once you get the sunset, right, everyone is like goes back to that very lepak lah, like, oh, we got the shot. And so
Yes.
it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes more time to pack up than unpack. So
True.
yeah, correct.
Got it. Yeah. So again, we in this whole particular project that we are talking about culture, we're talking about tradition and memories. So for you, I mean, this is maybe the question for both or three of you. So, I believe every generation creates their own tradition. Our forefathers have given us Silat, Joget, Batik. What do you think then our tradition will be, our generation, that looking back 30, 50 years ahead? What do you think it would be, Sanif? Or maybe Faisal or Raihan can answer that. Maybe go with Sanif first.
Oh, I think for my case, I think is the idea of being better at documenting heritage and culture. I think. So these are the things. These are the things that we leave behind for the future. Because like right now, right, when even like my case, when I was doing research for historical stuff, heritage stuff, it's actually quite hard, because there's not much record, there's not much documentation of what used to be like maybe 40 or 50 years ago. But I think in 50 years time ahead, it's quite easy, because a lot of us have good access to equipment and to document our culture.
Yeah, I think I agree on my perspective. Is also the importance of our language. The language. Even if I want to go back to the Keroncong, the lyrics. The lyrics writing, the beauty of poetry, and that. I'm okay. I'm acceptable to fusion food. But at the same time, we do not forget where it came from. Also, macam sometimes kadang lagu-lagu pun ada mix and match, English words into that. But I do still think it's important for us to keep the beauty of our language as part. Yeah, I think it's a very, very big part of our culture and heritage also. Yeah.
And before I go to Raihan, there is a question here. Tell us which song by who should everyone watching tonight listen to get a full idea of Keroncong music. Do you have any song?
Yeah, I think you have to go to the guys of old, from the 1930s, 1920s. Composers like Ismail Marzuki. Who actually has written hundreds of Keroncong songs, which of course is one of them is Selendang Sutra, which is actually featured in the film, and of course Juwita Malam, and also what was that? What's that song? Sepasang mata bola. That sepasang mata bola. Can you imagine? It's like a pair of eyeballs, but it's beautifully written. So if you want to go Keroncong music, I think we have to go to the guys of old, man.
But I think, don't you think that Emma says Keroncong, Keroncong to Ana, right, is the gateway drug?
Yes.
Is literally the gateway to Keroncong, right? I mean, if you want the most modern version, but still classical.
That is, of course, it's kind of like called pop Keroncong anyway. Keroncong pop.
Correct.
You
like that, then you're gonna love the 20s.
Yeah. But if you really like the old school acoustic, no electrics involved, then we have to go to the guys of old. Yeah.
Wow. What about you, Raihan? Your tradition, what is the thing looking back 30, 50 years?
I think to tell stories is very, very important. I think it's our job as storytellers, right? I mean, the first stories ever told were drawings in caves, right? And I think, so if you think about literature or art, right, I think it's important for us to tell stories of today. People keep asking me, why don't you remake P. Ramlee movies? And the thing I answer is that I can never remake it because it was a product of its time. You can never do that today because you need to tell today's stories today, so that the future can watch it.
That's true.
Yeah, so I think it's very important to tell Malay stories that are universal. I think it's not just for making these stories for our own culture. I think it's meant to, now the world is so much smaller. You have your Disney Pluses, your Netflixes, theater is traveling everywhere. I think you should tell as intrinsically Malay stories as possible so that you can give a window to our culture to the rest of the world. I think that is important for me. Yeah.
I think you answered the question of this person that that says to you, Arang is something everyone from all walks of life can relate to, keeping tradition alive. Why do you think this is important for all of us, and what is something you wish to keep alive in your own life?
I think memory is like a little bit of your DNA, don't you think? I mean, when you produce a child, you are basically biologically creating something, but you do need to create a memory DNA of sorts to imprint it on the child, and that's what makes it whole. So I'm telling you, one day Leia, when she's an adult, she'll remember this exact day when she was filming with her dad, and who is actually remembering the late grandpa, her great grandfather, right? She will remember it, and this film that Faisal made is forever. It will always be around, right, for her to remember, right? So that to me is still a memory. That to me is something. And like how his late grandfather imprinted in him with Keroncong, what he imprinted in Leia is probably filmmaking. It's literally something that you just have to keep on passing on. Yeah.
Yep.
True. And I said again, I mean, we're coming to the end of this conversation. As I said again, memories and a tradition are a very important element to trigger a lot of ideas and vision, right? It's proven in this particular project. But for me, it is getting harder nowadays because the agenda for our work, especially on TV, is always stressed upon the latest, the new, the what is trending. And I was wondering whether, do you feel the pressure of playing catching up with trend, both culturally and technologically? Maybe I go with Faisal first.
I was just about to ask my other two esteemed directors here. You all nak buat TikTok tak sama-sama?
Oh, that I can never understand.
Yeah.
TikTok,
I think, like Raihan said, the world is getting smaller, and it's only getting smaller because of the presence of this a very a social media kind of platform, and it seems that the attention span is getting shorter and shorter. So I think, to me, and I think I speak for the rest of the directors, I think we still have to take it as a challenge, Yeah, for us to navigate in this new media world, and see how it works out. I think this is part of our we have to grow with the times also. I mean I grew up with the times, when I started with TV. We shot on 16 mm film to tapes to now digital and everything. So I think this is just another step into just braving this new world.
But I think
How are you
all is
navigating?
new,
Yeah.
all is coming back again. It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
I was like, I was in my office and I was trying to talk to my younger colleagues, right? And how horrible 90s fashion are with like the cross colors and everything.
Yes.
And to them, and I said that was like a social suicide if you wear it now, right? But they said no, I think it'll be cool. I'm like, why would it be cool? But somehow another old is new again, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
one day maybe they will not like TikToks, they will go back to films again. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that will happen one day. Yeah, retro is back.
Yeah, just like fashion, it will come around, right?
Yes.
Yeah, retro
Yes,
sneakers are back.
I'm the proof of fashion is coming back.
Bringing sexy back.
Yeah.
What about you, Sanif? Do you feel the pressure of catching up with all this technology and?
Yeah, I think for me, we need to tailor. I mean, we need to be concerned about what's happening right now. But I think as filmmakers, right, or content creators, we need to separate ourselves. We need to ask ourselves what we want to do with the project, with the films that we make. For example, there's the TikTok crowd and also the cinema crowd, the film crowd, right? And I think this has got their own niche. This has got their own audience, right? And I think it's up to the filmmakers or the content creators or the video or the filmmakers or whatever you want to call yourself, where you want to see your product, your film, your video in maybe 10 or 15 years time. Like what we mentioned, what we have covered earlier. You ask where do we go in 15 years time with our project, right? So again, I want to ask the audience out there, where do you see yourself with in your video in TikTok in 20 or 50 years time? And the films that you make now that you that cover you make about your memories in 15 years time. So which of these two medium will last longer?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I think we come to the end of this conversation. But before we leave, I started with the elephant in the room, and then I chased him out. And I'm bringing back the elephant again to ask you the question, because we are talking about memories. Much of this conversation, I will probably ask you the last one. How will you remember this pandemic? Let's say 10 years down the road. We asked the youngest one, Raihan.
I will remember that it was the scariest thing that can ever happen to the world, right? I think we have never, I think no one alive will remember this kind of pandemic. This kind of, even at World War II, some countries might not be affected, right? But the moment you hear story that the disease have reached Antarctica, right? That's where you're like, wow, the whole world is involved. This is as scary as can be, right? And the fact that, inshallah, if we do live through it, right, we can say that, it was tough, but the world got together and everybody worked together to get this thing under control. I that's what I want to remember, and not necessarily for the arts alone, but in life. Literally. We are very fortunate to be making art in a time where people are dying. There are people who are like frontliners and all this stuff, and they are risking their lives every single day. So, I'm very grateful that we can do whatever we do today, and that we are privileged to do so. Absolutely.
Yeah. How about you, Sanif?
I think one of the things, when I look back, if this pandemic will ever go away, is the little things that we take for granted, lah. Like for example, to eat out, to meet your friends. It's those things that I think we will, or rather me personally would miss most. Would think about. I think just to appreciate your friends more and just appreciate. Just meet out, just reach out to your friends, lah. That's it.
How are you, Faisal?
Yeah, I will remember this as on the hindsight of what's happening to the world. At the same time, we went back to where we should have been, to come together as a family unit, getting to know, suddenly that the world suddenly crumbles around you. Is the family, we are back with the family, and I am very grateful for that, for having time spent, extra time spent with the family, and really getting to know them all over again, and reconnecting, the reconnection. So I hope, 20 years down the road, my kids will always remember that, yeah, amid all the craziness of the pandemic, we had a beautiful time as a family unit.
Nice one. And I had
Yeah.
a beautiful time this evening talking to all of you. Thank you for giving your time, Raihan, Faisal, and
Thank
Sanif.
you.
I don't
Thank
know
My
you.
pleasure.
when will be the time we'll be sitting down again. Hopefully, we have one project that we all can come together and do great things and
Yes.
inspire
Oh,
our community.
awesome.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're listening me, Najib Ali, and we are here to commemorating the 20th edition of Pesta Raya. Three local filmmakers were talking to me. They were commissioned to produce a short film exploring the topics of identity, heritage, culture, and the Nusantara for a special short film anthology. Now, I'd like to remind you that the films are online till the 27th of June on Esplanade Offstage. Don't miss also a slew of other performances of Pesta Raya Facebook. Find out more on our website or Esplanade website, esplanade.com/Pestaraya. And don't miss, and guys, tomorrow I will have a chat with Garin Nugroho, Apa
Ooh.
Khabar Pak, on Friday,
Oh,
and Riri Riza on Saturday at same time, 8 p.m. And before we end, thank you again, guys, and we'd like to take this opportunity to thank supporting sponsor Pesta Raya 2021, the Silent Foundation. Faisal, Raihan, and Sanif, hope to see you again. Stay well, stay positive, and goodbye. Thank you, everyone
Thank
who's
you,
watching
everybody.
this.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.